What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the garage. So I haven't been out here and filmed in a couple of days, but that doesn't mean stuff hasn't been getting done. On Monday, the tablet mount showed up, so I got that put together and it's really cool. Well, let me show you guys how it's gonna work here. So what it's gonna do is, you can see the screws here in the back, so it's gonna bolt to a plate, and what I'll be able to do is grab this and pull this piece out and take the tablet anywhere I want at any time. So I could start the car, and as long as I'm within range, I could just unplug the charger and take the tablet with me to wherever I'm standing and have it there, and I can look at it, see when the car's warm, if it starts acting weird. I can check codes and everything with it. So that Bluetooth thing is actually gonna be pretty nice to have. On Monday, after that showed up, I held it in the car here and I was trying to see where I was gonna be, and I was hoping I'd have been able to get a couple screws in here and then just put a piece across right here that I could mount that tablet piece to. But the holder itself is actually a little wide and it was pushing these up and kind of stressing the plastic a little bit. So I sat here and I thought about it for a little while, and then I came up with this. I had a piece of cardboard that was sitting here that I bent the ends on, and I'll show you why it's bent. So how I'm gonna mount this is with that bent piece here on the bottom, I'm going to use these two screws right here. I'm just gonna tuck it in under the plastic, and the aluminum piece will come from underneath of the plastic and it'll go up and mount to this. So in theory, it's gonna be like this. So in theory, it's gonna look like this. It ain't gonna be that bad, but that's what it's gonna be. And while that was a theory, and I had that template set up for the cluster mount, I started looking at the battery tray. Now, what I'm gonna do with this guy is I'm gonna lop this tab off. Actually, I might bend this over and use that to mount. That might actually be a good plan. I might bend this guy right over and drill a hole in it and then use that to mount the tray to. But before I skip ahead and get too far here, I gotta get this thing to at least be flat, or bend it down or cut it off, or whatever I plan on doing now that I'm thinking about this. The factory battery tray is held down by a stud and nut here, and then two bolts here in the front. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna knock a hole in this part of the tray, and we'll do a nut and a bolt. And I'm gonna do the same thing back here, and I kind of drew it out how I wanted it to be. So it's gonna look like that in the middle. So the piece in the middle here with the thing around it, that's the battery, hold down the battery, and then the tray with the 4 holes how I had it in my mind. So I messaged my buddy Matt, the one that we just had the birthday party with over the weekend, celebrating his 40th birthday. And I said, hey, do you got any metal laying around that we could bend up and cut and try to make some of this stuff with? And he goes, oh yeah, just come on over. I got out of work, came outside, finished mowing the lawn, and then I grabbed my stuff and I ran right over there. So he ended up bending this stuff up for me, and I gotta clean this up. It is just an old piece. I wasn't super worried about it. It's, like I said, not building a show car on this one. I mean, it's gonna look clean when it's done, but it doesn't matter what it looks like right now. So this is where we're gonna be at, and then I'm gonna pull this down here a little bit to get these ears to line back up. That way it'll kind of pull the gauges down and straighten it up and try to get it out of all that light so we can be able to see them. But I'm gonna mount this plate here, like I said, underneath of the tablet, and then I gotta knock the holes in the bottom to mount it with. And then I'll bolt the tablet bracket, or I'll bolt that tablet mount to here. And then I'm waiting on a cable. I did order those. I got some 6-inch charging cables, but they got 90s on them, so the cable will actually sit pretty close to flat to here. At least I'm hoping anyway. What I'm gonna do with that when I get it is I'll figure out my actual placement for the charging port here, but the battery on this charger is actually pretty wild. So I'm just gonna have this thing charge with the key on. It does have a 2-amp port and a quick charge 3.0. So just some deal from Amazon. I think I paid like 13, maybe 15 bucks for it. I gotta knock the hole in the plate to mount that once I get the tablet mounted and get that charging cable. That way I can get everything really figured out. And then, like I said, I don't know if we're gonna go low, if we're gonna go high, where we're gonna be, but this will be in the plate as well. So that will charge the tablet when the key is on. And I forgot to order the cable for Autometer. I'll order that tonight, I did forget that. So I'm gonna buy a splitter from Autometer that will split the DLC, and then I'm gonna plug the Bluetooth thing in for the tablet here, and then I'll bring HP tuners out and I'll see if they mess with each other. And if it don't, then we're perfect. I'm gonna keep rocking this setup. But if it does, then I'll take it back out. And it's not really gonna hurt me a whole lot because I could still use this plate to mount water temp and attack with shift lights. So either way, this plate's gonna benefit me regardless. So that's ready to go at least. And then this battery tray. This was the idea that we come up with. Now we cut it on an angle, try to keep it clean. That way we didn't have to worry about it swinging out on stuff too much. But so this is pretty close to where that plate's gonna sit. So you can see why I have to cut this piece down here. Then once that's down, I can drill the hole for here, and then set the plate down, and then try and get the other holes drilled. That way everything's lined up good. And then get the plate bolted down. And then what I'm gonna do is another kind of a stud deal. So I'm going to put a bolt through the bottom and then have a nut on the top. And why I want the nut on the top, there's going to be a small gap between the hold down and the nut itself. That way the hold down actually has room to go before it starts pushing against it. So yeah, we left a little bit of space there, as you can see, but this is realistically how this guy's going to bolt down. So like I said, just because I wasn't out here and filming or doing stuff doesn't mean nothing wasn't getting done. So we also got a plan figured out for Mark's car here. We talked to him and he said he doesn't ever really use his washers, so we're getting rid of the washer bottle. I got a Jazz coolant overflow coming from Summit, just like the one that I got in my blue car here that I showed you guys in the other video with Mark's car. And then as soon as that gets here, I'll get the coolant overflow put in it. And then we're going to change the vacuum line setup again. Instead of trying to have so many T's in these lines, what I'm going to do is just a vacuum distribution block. And I have one that's on the shelf over here somewhere. I got to dig it up. But I'm going to take that off and we're going to run that in line to the brake booster because that will see vacuum and boost all the time. I'm going to use that vacuum block to reference the boost controller, the fuel pressure regulator, and then I will just use the fitting on the manifold itself for the PCV or the catch can. And then the other piece that's right behind the throttle body will tee in for the evap and blow off valve stuff still, so that part won't change at all. We're just going to get rid of all the T-fittings that are involved with the catch can line just to make sure that we get good vacuum and boost sources. That way we're not worried about the PCV system pulling some vacuum away from the fuel pressure regulator, causing a drivability concern. So we're going to get that cleaned up, and then at least I'll be able to get rid of that ugly T that I put in there that I really didn't want to with that reducer, so that'll clean all that stuff up. And then we can start moving forward with that car again. So we'll get the overflow in. When that gets here, I'll get that vacuum block swapped in the car, and then we're going to turn the boost controller down. We're going to try 21, 22 pounds, and we're going to lock on with HP Tuners. He does want me to get on here and start chaining a couple things, so I'm going to lock on the car. We're going to make sure our air fuel tuning is right, and then we'll work on timing after that. Won't do a whole lot with it. I mean, if it looks like the timing is still a little high, we're just going to take it out. I'm not going to put timing in the car. So we're just, like I said, we're just gonna make sure that we're just gonna turn it down, make sure that the tune's still good, and then we'll go from there. If he wants to go to the dyno and start playing with timing, then we can. But until that point, I'm not gonna do any spark tuning on the street. We're just gonna do air fuel tuning, and then we'll leave the rest to the dyno so we can actually see where it's at, where it gains, and we're not worried about giving it too much. So that's that with Mark's car. What I'm gonna do right now, I'm gonna work on getting this battery tray mounted, work on getting my tablet mounted for a cluster. And then I'll pick the front end up, I'll drain the oil out of it, it's got water, I'll put a little bit of fuel in, make sure that we got no leaks, and then who knows after that, I guess we'll see. So we'll play that by ear, guys. But yeah, let's get this battery tray stuff going here and get the night kicked off. Got the battery tray mounted. That piece didn't want a 90 for me, and I tried to hold it with some channel locks and then some vice grips, but it wanted to keep kicking everything out. I'm actually gonna have to take the trans mount bracket out, put it in the vice, and then make it 90, and I can force it to do that. But I got the back hole drilled. I got it marked where I want to cut it off. I did that with a soapstone, and then I got these other two holes drilled, and that's mounted. I didn't get this on camera, but I got my pizza rolls, by the way. I did get the hole drilled in this bracket, and it came out perfect. Because like I said, I did want it closer to the ground side, so we are offset just a little bit, but this thing is almost center inside of this piece, and that hole is right dead center over that button. So I mean, that's perfect. I don't think it could have gotten any better on that one. I almost made the hole a lot bigger too, and I might go up one size or two, but I do have to take this off, clean the edge of it where the bit cut it, and then clean that lip up so I don't have to worry about damaging the battery or anything. But that came out good. So got the hold down ready. I just got to take a 1/4 inch off each of the legs, and then I'm going to take this trans mount bracket back out, and then I will get that piece that stood straight up, I'll get that to bend the 90 the way I need it to. I'll set that plate back in, and then I will get the hole drilled right here. I'll get this guy mounted down, and I did position it so the 2 bolts would be inside of the pocket of this trans mount right here. So the 2 bolts will be here, 2 bolts will be here, and there's nothing here. So that'll be perfect. That'll be a great battery hold down. Best thing about it is that battery only weighs like 2.2 pounds, so it doesn't have to be anything too crazy. So once I get that stuff done, we'll get in there and we'll start working on mounting that cluster and then see how far we can get tonight. We'll see how far we can get. Maybe we'll see if we can crank it over today. Well, battery's already done. Now I just got to put it back in the car. Came out pretty good though. I'm happy with that. Now I just got to get this off and stuff it all back in the car. Nice thing about that, 4 bolts and I take everything. I like it when I make things easy to work on. Now this is gonna be the fun part because I gotta get this to wedge in between the trans mount and the body. Probably gonna nick the paint a little bit, but it ain't a show car.
Check. The grills in my mouth double as a breeze. The grills in my mouth double as a breeze. The grills in my mouth double as a breeze. The grills in my mouth double as a
I like it. I was able to do this without having to change the battery cables. So the way I position this battery, luckily enough, because it has a positive and negative on either side, I was able to just loop the battery cables and hook this guy right up. Now the only downside is I gotta clean this edge up down here a little bit so it don't rub through on the cable, or put something on the cable. I guess I could actually, yeah, I might do that instead. Other than that though, I mean, restart button's easily accessible, my posts are easy to get to, the cable lays nice, the tray clears, it's not wobbly like I thought it was going to be. I mean, if that thing don't, I mean it wiggles, but it don't move at all, it don't slide. That's me really getting with it here, and that won't move it from that button, so we're good to go. Well, so now I just got to clean up this cluster of stuff. So this booster hose, I'm probably going to shorten up a little bit and swing it out of the way here. Same thing with the throttle cable. I'm going to pull that over a bit, and then I got to get the unwrap my clutch line from my throttle cable here. I got to undo all of this mess here, so I'll get all this stuff cleaned up. I'll get some things zip tied out of the way a bit. We can worry about that another time though, because now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go inside and I'm going to start working on that cluster mount, see how far I can really get tonight.
mouth double as a freeze ray. The grills in my mouth double as a freeze ray. The grills in my mouth double as a freeze ray. The grills in my mouth double as a freeze ray. The grills in my mouth double.
Cause that battery out. There we go. Well, that's really weird. My Pro Sport gauge is going retarded. Watch. It's got white. It's got blue. And then it starts going black for some reason. I don't know why. That's really, really weird. Because when you shut it down, blue, red, it's all there. They're all the same. I don't get it. I guess I'll have to contact Pro Sport and see. It is an old gauge, but I don't know if they'll do anything for me. I just don't like the fact that it shuts off. Got this tablet mounted in though. Got the cluster piece in. I do have to put these screws back in. Clean all this stuff up with a grinder or the scuff wheel real quick. But right. I don't know how all this is going to work, but right here should be my view. And that damn fuel pressure gauge. It's so weird. But I guess as long as I don't have a problem, it shouldn't flash. If it starts turning off, I know I got a problem. Looks alright. I'm going to finish mounting this cluster piece, and then I'm going to drain the oil and try and clean them lines and everything up under the hood, see if I can get those mounted and out of the way. And then as soon as I'm done with that, we'll see where we're at. There we go. That looks better. So that's where that's at. That's gonna be so cool. Yeah, that's gonna be awesome. Let's go back to the torque. Cancel. Let's check that throttle input. Oh, you know what? I don't even have the Bluetooth piece. Let me go find my adapter quick. It's not too awful of a delay. You can see the throttle sweep. The number is actually really fast. It's just the needle that's got the light delay. But that's super cool. Oh man, I'm so excited this works. Holy smokes, guys. Yeah. So we got coolant temp 78.4, which it feels like it's probably 75, 80 degrees, so that's probably pretty accurate. So now let's go to the racing meter. See what we show. Oh, 36C, huh? There we go. We got, oop, I don't want that. Alright, there we go. Okay. Well, we got battery voltage, intake air. I gotta get rid of these screens. So yeah, we got battery voltage, intake air temp. I don't have water temp. It says 73. That's interesting. One app says 78 and this says 73. That's weird. But yeah, as long as the TAC doesn't have that kind of delay, maybe it's just that delay when you change screens. I wish I could put throttle in here, but it won't let me. Let me see, add others. Yep. No throttle position. Well, yeah. We got her though. I mean, it's still hooked up. Still communicates. Legit. That's so cool. Kind of neat because I think that this stuff does data log. And like I said, I can log it and I'd be able to check where it thinks I'm shifting, compare that to HP, and then I could set the shift light difference there. And then we can log water temp, intake temp, which I will get fixed. I will get that hooked up here before too long. And then I just wish I could see throttle position, but I guess that's the only difference. I mean, I don't know. I guess I don't really know why I wanted to see throttle position in here. Just so I could see the delay of how this is actually going to work, but I'll find out when we fire it up. I'm going to drain the oil out of this thing, work on those hoses. So yeah, that's pretty much going to be it on this stuff. Let's get that oil draining. So this is pretty close to where the seat will sit. And then anytime the tablet is off, double tap the screen and we're ready. Now if it's locked, I can just hit the unlock button up here and it'll do the same thing. But yeah, so this is gonna be pretty dope, guys. So I got that guy mounted in, and like I said, when I sit here, my gauges are above the steering wheel, all of this is below the steering wheel. We can do whatever we gotta do and I could see everything. But I did let the battery get pretty dead, so it is on the charger. So as soon as that guy charges up, I can try and roll it over and see if we can make oil pressure and possibly start it. But I don't think that's gonna happen tonight because it said 15 minutes to 4 hours. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna leave it plugged in all night. And that battery charger actually is a maintainer. So I can just leave it on all night, it'll charge the battery up, and then it'll keep it good while we're doing whatever else. So what I'm gonna do right now is I'm just gonna go underneath the hood and I'm gonna try and clean up some of those lines, get that braided clutch line mounted, get the push lock hoses kind of tied out of the way. I'm gonna put the intake in, make sure everything still clears, and then like I said, I'm gonna tie a lot of those hoses up and get them out of the way. Probably shorten the brake booster hose just to take a lot of that slack out of it, so I can have enough room to really tuck it out. And then we should be ready to go. So yeah, let's get out there and get that stuff done. So that battery was pretty dead, it is still charging, but I went through and I got all this stuff cleaned up. I moved my map sensor that was bolted to the battery tray. We moved that over here to the engine lift bracket. So if I ever got to take it out or do anything with it, then I can just cut the zip tie, put the chain through, and then I'm fine. And then I used a much shorter line for this part. So that's out of the way. I ran my boost control circuits this way, so they're out of the way. Everything else was kind of hanging out over in here. So I got all that stuff taken care of. I ran the fuel pressure sensor wire with the battery cable that runs across here, and I'm going to put a P-clamp around this actually to keep it from moving around. Now that I'm looking at this. So I tied the clutch line out of the way, so I put a P-clamp here, another P-clamp here, and then I got one in the back. So that goes from the master, follows down to the slave. So that's out of the way. You can kind of count this out. So that cleaned all this stuff up actually, made a lot of room for me right here. What I think I'm going to do is actually just swivel this. We'll see how that fits. Oh, I don't like it already. That's the nice thing about this push lock stuff. You don't like it? You just move it. All this, you can't beat this when you can pull all this stuff off one-handed. Well, sometimes one-handed. Yeah, see? It's not hard. And then when you put it together, you just shove it right on in there. No boost leakies. That stuff is actually used for air brakes, so it's some pretty heavy stuff. Now I did also find something else out. Apparently my fuel pressure gauge is fine. Climb back in here quick. Alright. So yeah, apparently I'm just not that smart because when you have it unplugged, it won't flash red. So now that I know if I ever have a circuit problem or a sensor problem and the gauge starts acting like that, I won't assume that the gauge is junk like I thought it was. I'll know that it's got to be something with the sensor circuit because... Oh God. Alright, hold on. I keep forgetting that battery did die, so. Try and get these guys to shut the hell up. So we'll go 1, 2, 3. I hate that. Hate it so much. Shouldn't do it now. But now we're flashing red. So this right here should be a pretty good depiction of what I'm going to be able to see. I hope you guys can actually see where it's at, because the row of shift lights for me sits right across here. So it's just under the top of the steering wheel, and then everything else is on the top. This is going to be perfect, guys. I really, really, really hope this works out. I can't wait to get the seat mounted here. I can't wait to get the cage done. I can't wait to hear the car run. I can't wait to drive it. I can't wait to make a pass. Holy man, I'm jonesing. You know, we go to the racetrack and I like helping my friends out, but I want to drive too. I don't want to just sit there and watch. I want to play. So, got to get my stuff done. Plus, we got that race coming up here at the end of August for the Underground Car Meet. So, hope at least one of these cars will be done. I can promise you that. I'll be there with one thing. If it's this one or if it's that one of them will be there. If we race this car on the 15-inch wheels with the brakes we got, we race the car on 15-inch wheels with the brakes we got. But I think at this point what I'm going to do is I'm waiting to cash out on a couple side jobs here, and then I'm going to buy those VMS 13x9s. They make them in a 5x100 plus 0, and there are some Neon guys that use them. They use like, I think you said he had a 10 or 12 millimeter spacer to clear the caliper. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to order the wheels. I'll get some spacers. and then I'll get those guys mounted because I really don't want to keep grinding just to fit these Bassets. I'll sell the Bassets and the nuts that go with them. Hopefully they can go to somebody that'll put them to good use. But because my charging port is on this side, I don't know what I want to do, because I could actually just do this. Because what I could do, try and show you guys how this is going to work. So the nice thing about this holder is I'm not stuck to anything. Like I said, I can take the tablet right out, take it anywhere I need to or anywhere I want to. But I could just flip it over like this, tuck it back in, and then everything will still work the same way. The screen will rotate. It just moves my button here, but it puts my charging port on this side. So if I put the charging port here, I can just plug it in. I can do everything right from the window. But it is convenient enough when I stand outside the car to just reach up and hit the power button here. Let me climb out and see how it feels right here, and then we'll go from there. If I like it here, we'll run it. If I don't, then I'll flip it back. I'll put the power button, I'll put the screen lock button up on this side, and then I'll just have to mount the charging port on this side. I put the actual cluster in it, then I could just plug it in when I get in the car, as long as I remember. I mean, this does have a pretty good battery. It hasn't been on the charger for a couple days, I don't think, and it's still at 86%, so it's got no SIM card. It does have Wi-Fi. But I could take the SIM card out of my other tablet and put it in this one, and then I could use like GPS and everything else, but we'll play all that stuff by ear. But yeah, this is exciting, guys. So I got this thing mounted, everything else is coming together. I got that battery tray mounted, I got everything cleaned up under the hood as far as those lines. We're almost there, guys. I think at this point, now that I have everything else, we'll let the battery charge tonight, and I'll come out here tomorrow, and I think I'm gonna drain the oil. And then once I get that oil drained, we'll put some fresh oil in it, disable the fuel and ignition, we'll crank it over, make sure we got good oil pressure, and then I'll put some fuel in the cell and see if this thing will start. It has been a while since I filmed, so I had quite a few updates to try and throw in with this one with everything else going on. So I'm gonna wrap this one up for the night, guys. You have yourself a good one. I appreciate you checking me out. Give us a sub, like the video, share with your friends. Check out our Instagram, check out our Facebook. You guys have yourself a good one, have fun, and we will see you at the track. Thanks.